level to country, pay our respects to elders past and present. Also extend that to all First Nation people. The first apologies. Have one, of course, the Mayor. I'd just like to acknowledge the passing of his father, Bob. Sorry. Acknowledge the passing of the Mayor's father, Bob, and send our condolences. Paul, Nick and James in this sad moment. The next item is the declaration of conflict of interest. Does anybody have a conflict of interest? If not, we'll go on to the next item, which is the confirmation of the minutes of the 17th of October. Someone like to move that they be accepted? Move Councillor Qualman, seconded Councillor O'Hara. Any discussion? If not, I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Yeah, it's okay. Right. In business, item 5, we have none. The Mayor's report. You can see the Mayor's report there. Unfortunately, as we know, the Mayor won't be here to report on anything, but I'm sure if you wanted to find anything about that, you could get in touch with me later on at a later date. The next one is the council members' reports. Once again, we have none. The petitions, we have none. The deputations, we have none. We now move into public question time. We have no public questions. So we move on to decision reports, and the first is the Reconciliation Action Plan progress. Would someone like to move that we receive and note the report?
Question?
I have questions too.
Yeah. In relation to the RAP in general, and that is that previously a councillor sat on that committee, the RAP committee, and I'm just wondering, have we overlooked that, and where to from here with the committee?
That's the CEO.
The committee has, to be truthful to say, has not been active in terms of the public activity. As you'll notice, most of the things are behind the scenes still. It's our intention for 2024 to reinvigorate that, but for many reasons it hasn't been active. The Mayor is still a committee member.
Right, but previously a councillor was a committee member as well.
As I said, it hasn't been active, it hasn't met.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Roundtree.
Got a couple of questions there, Mayor, or Acting Mayor. I noticed that, I'll discuss it. What is the hold up with formalising guidelines and how to embed the best practices, principles into respectful relationships? It's one of those things that's been on there for a year. Is it just, was what you were saying before, we're not doing much in that space yet?
As opportunity comes up, but we haven't really put our attention to it. There've been a lot of other things on the agenda this year, starting with the floods at the beginning, and the people involved in this have been, I won't say waylaid, but have been distracted by other tasks. So there are things that are happening naturally, like the updating of our HR manuals and then reflecting on whether they're inclusive enough, but there are other things that we have not taken any active, done anything actively in at the moment.
Okay, what National Reconciliation Week events were offered in 23 to elected members and staff, noting that it said that no one participated in anything?
There was some, through you, Mayor, there was something that clashed and we didn't participate in anything, and there was no active activity in our district area. In the past, Murray Bridge has had some activity that we've been involved in, but in terms of Reconciliation Week, there's been nothing unless council organises it across the district, and we haven't done that. We didn't do that this year.
Okay, what's involved in council understanding the cultural protocols around repatriation? What does repatriation look like?
Return of, and essentially what that's getting at is council understanding that. So should we be asked in any fashion to support the traditional owners, we're in a position to do that in a culturally appropriate manner. But to date, there's never been a request of that nature.
There has been some discussion that it may happen in the future, but at this point, we've had, as Miles said, we've had no actual applications. But it was only discussed at our meeting this morning with the RDA that there is some moves afoot to repatriate not only some remains from overseas, but also from some museums across Australia as well.
Okay, and what is a Supply Nation membership and what does it cost us?
That was a question last year that you also asked, Councillor. There is none.
At least I'm consistent. Thank you. And my last one is, what is the budget for NAIDOC week for council, and will we get some say in, do we get any say in what sort of events are offered across the district?
Just for you, Mayor, I'll have to take the budget on notice. And if you think there's something that you would like us to talk with the Narrandjeri or the NARCAT people about, in particular for NAIDOC week, then we'd be more than happy to have that advice.
My recommendation would be just something different to what we've done. I think to offer something new and interesting, if we can do that.
For you, Mayor, it's really not our show. It is really to engage with the Narrandjeri people, and it is really what they think is important to them, and we're the participants in a sense. We may do some of the organising, but we are a participant.
Thank you.
We'll have a mover to receive and note the report. Councillor Roundtree. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Bland. With the motion, all those in favour? Carried unanimously. The next one is the Local Government Grants Commission, whether we should or should not appoint or nominate someone for representative. Guided by the chamber. Someone likes to put somebody up as a nominee for a period of 5 years as per option 1 or option 2 that the council just note the report.
A question on that, if I might, having talked to our Dave from Murraylands Riverland, I am wondering whether it would be appropriate that either the Mayor, Deputy Mayor or CEO.
Very good question. I'm just thinking this is only a nomination to the LGA.
Minister, yeah.
And then the LGA pick the representative. So, you know, don't know your chances of getting the job, but you don't if you have.
Well, you don't put your hand in, but if we are, and if they are through the Murraylands Riverland, then perhaps it has a little more weight if it is someone from there, and therefore possibly the Mayor or the CEO in that case.
If the Mayor was interested in the position, a letter of support from the MLGA would probably be a useful support.
Well, I'd like to move that we nominate the Mayor, subject to his
Yeah,
acceptance.
Councillor Simmons.
Correct.
Oh, Mayor Simmons, sorry, Mayor Simmons. Yeah.
Mayor Simmons.
Do I have a seconder for that nomination?
I'm happy to second that.
Councillor Peach. Any further discussion on that? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. So the Environmental Protection Authority Board. They're one of the most respected boards. We have there option 1 or option 2. Option 1 is we nominate someone for the board, or option 2 that the council note and receive the report. Councillor Roundtree.
It's my preference that we just receive and note the report.
Okay, you move that way.
I do.
Councillor Roundtree, seconded. Councillor Qualman. Any further discussion?
No.
If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item 4, the South Australian Heritage Council. Nominations for representative. Once again, this one's a term for 3 years. You have option 1 or option 2. Do you have any of the members wish to move option 1 or 2? Councillor.
I'll move option 2.
Option 2. Councillor O'Hara's moved option 2. Councillor Roundtree has seconded that. Any further discussion? If not, put that motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Affordable housing feasibility study. Would someone like to move that recommendation?
I have a question.
We'll move the recommendation first, then you can.
I'd rather ask my questions first.
Councillor, you moving that?
No,
No, okay.
not yet.
Someone like to move that way?
I would like to also ask that perhaps the CEO speak to this report.
Mr Mayor, can I move that we suspend meeting procedures for the next 5 minutes?
5 minutes? Okay,
Well,
we'll move, we'll
Good move.
yeah.
suspend meeting procedures for 5 minutes while the questions, you have questions to the CEO regarding this?
Yes.
Yes,
So
okay.
it's a good
Councillor
couple.
Roundtree.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. I know in the report, in the final report, it says that the 4 councils decided to go their separate ways. Was there a fundamental difference in the groups as to why they have decided to go different ways?
Remember at the briefing, I discussed that basically the environment had changed quite significantly from when we put in for the research, and it was a research paper for to look across the 4 districts to see if there was, first of all, to test what we all know anecdotally, and it did reinforce what we do know. But what has changed in the meantime is that each of the councillors now have different options before them. So we have had more activity around developers looking at blocks of land here. Tatiara has now come into the fold with some affordable housing as a pilot study down south that was announced at the Country Cabinet. The model itself does not suit Narra Court Lucindale because all of the land is privately held, and Southern Mallee does not, standing alone, Southern Mallee does not need this sort of activity. They came into the fold because from 4 councils' point of view, we thought that if there was an opportunity to leverage, we would have more voice with 4 councils than 3, and they were part of that geographical footprint. So the report, as it stands, provides or reinforces what we know. The world has changed in terms of Housing Australia now being set up, the state picking up more affordable housing. So although the model that was proposed by the consultant would work for us, it's probably a model that we don't have to put in place if we don't need to. We can do it with other mechanisms within council.
So is the model you're talking about, that's Civitas model? The Civitas model there? Yeah, so we're not considering using.
Trademark.
Yep.
So if we were to consider using it, we would need to talk with them.
Is council considering forming a regional subsidy as suggested in 10.7? We're not doing that. And the last one was in 10.9, the local government's finance authority having security over council's rate income. It talks about that in there. If we were to go down a particular model, we would not consider anything that before coming back to chamber, would we?
So through you, Mayor, we're not considering anything to do with this model anymore. But
Right.
what the made councillor are that if we were to put together the Civitas model, the mechanisms are in place. So with the LGA Finance, they would be the lender. So the model is based on banks giving guarantees. In South Australia, we could also use the LGFA as well. So it was really just a variation on a theme. But no, those mechanisms would only be used if we were putting a model in place.
All right, excellent, thank you.
I have a question to follow on from that. Lands that we have got, Tintinara, Tailem Bend and Meningie, how are we going to move all those land forward? Because each township has a shortage of housing. Tailem Bend may be slightly different as developers look at this area more opportunity, but the other small towns still require it to have worker housing and aged housing.
Sorry,
So,
yeah,
through you, Mayor. I would suggest we have in the confidential items today, we have a,
Yeah.
item relating to land development. I
Use
suggest
it in
the
there.
conversation would be more appropriate there.
Thank you.
right, would someone like to move or receive that report now? Councillor Roundtree, seconder. Councillor Maidman. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. The next item is. I lost my tag. The annual report. Which is item 6. Seen the recommendation there? Would someone like to move that recommendation?
Can I move that we suspend meeting procedures to have a conversation?
How long would you like to?
5 minutes?
5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, we will suspend meeting procedures for 5 minutes again, Ashley. And start off with you, Councillor Roundtree.
Thank you. So I picked up a few things. Some of them are just formatting stuff, but one of the things that struck out was we now talk about in the report that 6.1% of people identified as Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander. In 2016 it was 6.1, it's now 5.7, so we've dropped back a little bit. Was there a specific reason in pulling that information out? And I ask it because what we have seen in our region is that the number of people that were born overseas that now live in our region is up quite a bit. So we've got 472 people now that were born overseas that live here. To me, it's either, I think, an equally good stat to put in for our diversity argument. And it's actually grown 8.2%. So I think was there a specific reason for the Aboriginals, Torres Strait Islanders, and can we or should we include some of the other diverse people that we've got in our group?
It's a standard, to you, Mayor, it's a standard way of reporting, but in terms of inclusivity, we can also add the people born overseas.
I'll check back through you, Mayor. I checked back through other reports. We hadn't done it before. We've never done it before. So if it's standard, we've just not done it before. I wondered why now?
Because I think it's the right thing to do.
Then I would like to possibly see that we include the other aspects of our multicultural community as well. I think it would be useful. I'm happy to send, and that was all from ABS. I got that information from. My second question under performance, second paragraph, talks about the plan. Pardon. It's under performance in the second paragraph. I don't know either because the pages are different to what you have because we get them all like 521. So I don't got it. So it's a comment. The plan will be incorporated into all aspects of council's subsequent business plans. I think it should be amended to say we are doing that rather than it will be because we're halfway through that period and it would look better. Under the road renewal program, there's some grey boxes where it talks, for instance, Karkuma Road. It would be useful just to put the town next to that, like Karkuma Road, Tintinara, for people that might not know where Karkuma Road is. I've never travelled down it. On community events, grant donations, page 28, or it's 129 or 51 or 521. Using justified text in boxes is one of my pet hates, and I raise it often. If we could just left-hand justify those instead of spreading those words out, would look neater. And the Pangarinda Botanic Gardens photo on page 33 has been stretched and is distorted. That needs to be put back into its original shape so it looks more professional. And the last one under capital works, which was prior to all this, the first 3 projects that are listed are all from one town. Are there any other things that we could list in our capital works highlights that show the things that are happening in other places as well? Just to make it more inclusive. That's all I had.
you, Mayor,
You're-
those would not be material changes, so there would be no reason we need to not adopt the report. We can incorporate those changes.
Do you want me to send them through to you?
That would be good.
Councillor Qualman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Something caught my eye regarding the recommendation. It says adopts the 2022/23 annual report. Yet between item 6 and item 7 on the agenda, included at the back is the annual report of the Murray Lands and Riverland Local Government Association. I would have thought the recommendation to have that defined, because to me, it just looks like an annual report for the CTC, but it's attached in the same part of the agenda, is what I've just said.
It is.
Is there any reason for that? Not,
It is part of the annual.
Because
shouldn't it be written in there?
have a fee to charge to be part of that system.
Yeah. Just on,
And it really, it's for your information of the
yeah,
ratepayers and
yeah,
members of what actually we do spend,
all right.
what they are doing as well, not
That's
only just what you spend the money on.
Through you,
Yep.
Deputy Mayor, just to clarify, that committee is a section 43 subsidiary of council. So it's a requirement that we attach their annual report
very good.
as an appendix.
Well, that's good. Thank you for explaining that.
How's our time going, Ashley?
Move an extension of 5 minutes.
Anybody
Yes. I'll
got
put my
anything,
hand up.
councillor Maidment?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and through you, the section on council members' allowances and meeting attendances, where councillor Maidment's concerns incorrect. The allowance I have received is $5,977.50, not $8,716, and I'm talking the period you are. And meetings attended were 8 ordinary meetings, not 7, and 2 special in total.
I
Yeah.
haven't even.
So there could be others.
Thumbs up.
Through you, Mayor, just on that, why this time did we include all of that information when we haven't done that before
Yes, we have. Yeah,
in that format?
New local government requirements.
Okay.
yeah, always. Right, would someone like to move the recommendation subject to the minor changes? Councillor Qualman, seconder,
Just can we amend the
councillor
motion?
Maidment,
That need to?
all those in favour? Carried unanimously. The next one is all those pages. The audit completion report. There is a recommendation there regarding the representation limiter. Would someone like to move or accept that?
I'm just catching up to it if you don't.
Yeah, hold on, I'm still scrolling too. And I
Up to the last.
Can't just hit the little page corner.
Yeah, I'm still scrolling. But through you, Mayor, I think we'll need some time to discuss this one too, perhaps. So if we could suspend meeting
I'm guided by the change.
procedures, that would be useful.
How long would you like?
5 minutes.
5 minutes? Okay. I'll suspend meeting procedures once again for 5 minutes. Councillor Bean, did you starting?
Oh, no, sorry, I'm just still finding it. I just needed
Yeah.
time to do that, but I will in a second.
I'll start with a couple of questions then. So through you, Mayor, under key financial indicators, paragraph, last line, it says, this is reflective of the accrued, but the sentence doesn't appear to be finished. Am I reading that wrong? Yeah.
I'll need more information that we are looking.
Under key financial indicators, paragraph. To go, next time I'll make sure I write the pages that you work with.
It's just one paragraph, council operating surplus ratio has decreased to 0.6 this year from 8 in 2022. Is that the paragraph? Key financial indicators is one
This is reflective, I'll just Google that, hold on, not Google that word, I'll just search that word.
If I could just make a comment through you, Deputy Mayor, before we move this. From my understanding, this report is confidential. It's on the top of the letterhead. Should this then move into a confidence while we talk about this?
Was.
Well, it's gone out in the public agenda, so I think that horse is bolted.
So it's on page 7, the one I'm talking about. Representations. It's above that, so key financial indicators, sorry, on page 7.
It's above the chief executive officer.
Yes, yeah, it's just that last line. This is reflective of the accrued. Is that? What does that mean?
You've got it.
This is an older version of the letter. We did pick up that mistake, so that sentence there that's not finished, that was removed.
Okay, all right, was removed. So then the next question I had is the summary of misstatements. We scroll down. And it's matter. Are we able to know what asset had no valuation data applied to it? It's applicable, right? Is that relevant? Like it's just got a number in there, but it says it was not applied. Is that?
I need more information about where you are, councillor.
Well, summary of misstatements, page
You're
4
doing
on
audit stuff
into
now?
the actual report. No, into the actual report, sorry. So if you go, sorry, it's page 5, matter number 2. It talks about had no valuation data. I'm just wondering how that sort of stuff slips through. And what does that mean that it had no valuation data?
Bill, would you like to come sit up here?
Sorry.
This was discussed at length with the Audit and Risk Committee too, so maybe this committee might have a view.
I'm actually having a struggling finding.
Through
In
you,
the
Mayor,
thing approved.
the item 3 in the misstatements, this was, this, I do have more detail on this that was provided by the third party asset provider. This asset came in towards the end of the valuation process, and the third party asset provider didn't include it in the fixed asset register, but had it in their summary report. So when the auditors read the report,
That's what
they identified that this last item had not been updated to the fixed asset register. So we passed the journal to update the register.
So it has no material effect on anything really because it was
No,
already
just updating to the register.
registered.
Yeah.
Alright.
Their report did reflect and talk about this asset, but the actual spreadsheet did not, which they provide to us. So it was a third party disclosure, and the auditors picked it up in discussions with the third party.
So through Deputy Mayor, while you're still there, matter 3, when we're looking, it says here, the long service leave provisions, there was an oversight for 8 employees. Was this since the last audit, or like, are these longer term employees that somehow got missed out, or were they new employees that weren't added? Like it seems like quite a lot, 8.
There were. My understanding from the audit committee that it was some of the transfer over from new employees,
From previous council.
previous councils. Am I correct on that?
Thank you.
.5 minutes is up. Now, I'll ask someone to move that recommendation.
I have a question in relation to moving the recommendation on this one that includes that. Given that we still have to move the audit committee report and the BR1, this doesn't include anything in relation to that. It won't affect that at all.
The BR1 is not on your agenda, councillors? Are you not moving the BR1 at all today?
Thank you. I assumed that, but I just want to make it clear that we're not doing any with BR1.
And this doesn't relate, this is really the auditor's report.
Yeah,
Thank
this
you.
is the auditor's report. Thank you. Yeah. Right. Now, did we have a mover? I do need a mover for the motion. Councillor Roundtree, I need someone to second. Councillor O'Hara. I'll put that vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Next one is the here we go. You can get there. Big fingers. The draft flying policy. Suppose everybody's had a read of that and
Happy to
someone
so
like to move that recommendation.
move the recommendation.
Moved, councillor Peach, seconded councillor Roundtree. Is there any further conversation about it? If
I would just add that I thank Ben for doing a good job of writing up how we had envisaged it being done, so thank you.
If not, I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. The Section 41 review progress report. Realising this is only a progress report at this time, there has been no decisions made. So really it is only receiving the report at this stage. Would someone like to move that we receive that report?
I'd like to move that we receive a note with the removal of the 2 dot points at the end, transition of agenda preparation and minute taking responsibilities to council staff and attendance at future committee meetings by council staff, that those 2 are removed. I think if I may comment through you, Mayor.
Yes.
I think the templates of agendas that we saw yesterday, swimming pool committee, were fantastic. No issues there, but I don't think taking the minute responsibilities away from volunteers when for some of them that's something they enjoy doing and should be something we look at doing. That's what this wording indicates, that we'd be taking that off them.
It is up to elected members to.
I'm happy to support that, and I was going to actually raise almost the exact same words. I was going to say the council receive and note the report that reinforces the findings of the workshop and future deliverables of the Section 41 review process. Very similar to what Councillor Peach is saying. So I think it's important that there is scope for the like Section 41 committees to prepare their own agendas and take minutes. And some of these groups are doing a good job of that already, and it would be detrimental to these groups to have that removed from them. There's no advantage to having to pay staff to attend out of hours meetings. They're obviously more than welcome to come, and the committees that I'm involved with enjoy having them. But to make a hard and fast rule that this is how they operate without any consultation is fraught with danger. So I would support council.
Question. One is that the template that Councillor Peach has referred to is being rolled out across all Section 41 committees. I will assume that. And the other is that where staff are involved, and I take both Councillor Roundtree and Councillor Peach's point on that, is that perhaps it could be that staff can be invited if there are specific issues that they are requiring immediate answers to that can't be dealt with in normal business hours, rather than have a cost to council. I did note on, I'm going to say the swimming pool report, a large number of staff mentioned in one of the reports in attendance, and I'm wondering, I'm assuming they're all paid. And I think that if we're doing that, we're talking about one or the appropriate staff member subject to what's coming up on the agenda.
Could I just make a statement there? Going back some 9 years ago, all councils and staff do not attend Section 41 committee meetings because there were back then about 10, section 41, some were getting full-time secretarial duties by staff being paid, and others weren't getting anything. So if we look back about 9 years ago in the minutes, I know we can change them all every time we change a council, but it has set a precedent. And the question is, just ask yours, Councillor Bland, has the staff got the right to make that decision? You know,
That's my section 41.
maybe
Okay.
you know, like you go down through a delegation, and one of the auditors' report in the auditor's report was that there was lots of
Council decision.
things being purchased without a purchase order, but that's probably because they're working down at Whoop Whoop and they can't come back here to get a purchase order to get the thing before things. So, you know, like a little bit of common sense there. Councillor Roundtree.
I should just say the agenda that they're working from the pool committee, I actually designed that template for them to help them out. So it's not one that's being rolled out anywhere yet. I just put that together for them to give them some structure for their meetings. So yeah.
I am
I'm
waiting for.
I'm happy to move that we receive and note the report
With those two.
noting that personally, I don't wish to see those two as currently worded go forward as part of that report.
Don't forget, it's only a report. It's
Yes.
no.
And I'm happy to second that with those
Second
dot
account,
points
Roundtree.
removed. Yeah.
Is there any further discussion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Now the big one. Operational behaviour of management policy council members. Someone would like to move that we receive that report, please. Come on, don't be
I'm still
naughty.
scrolling.
Councillor O'Hara. Seconder. Councillor Bland. Is there any discussion regarding this item? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Next one is the amendment to schedules of fees and charges. Everybody had a look through that? I did. So anyone prepared to move that as amended?
Mayor, I'd like to, I'm happy to move this as amended, and I'd also like to add a variation to that, that the 10% discount for the Canalpin swimming pool be removed from the fees and charges. Through Mr. Mayor, that was something that came up last night at the Canalpin swimming pool meeting. And it was discussed that if that was implemented, it means instead of dealing with whole dollars, potentially with cash, then dealing with smaller denominations. And they've never had that there before. So they were quite keen to see that removed. And I did think that made sense. And I thought this might be the appropriate time to take that onto this motion.
CEO, I'll just ask you.
Just a reminder that budget is set on these documents.
Well, this should improve our budget position.
Exactly.
Councillor Roundtree.
I'm happy to second that motion. But I was also going to add in just the wording at the end of the council adopts a 23-24 schedule of fees and charges as amended, and then the part that Councillor Peach wants, removing the 10% for seniors discount. And I like to see in the recommendation things like to include the charge for the installation of a memorial seat, so it's very clear what we are doing in this particular motion.
Just here we go.
Rather than just say as amended.
Yep.
And also I have a question as to why the seat installation is so expensive.
Sorry.
It's down the process. Okay.
Through the mayor, the breakdown is in relation to the bench, which would be $2,000 to purchase, the concrete, which would be 1,500, installation at 500, and then an admin cost on top of that.
That makes sense, thank you. I assumed that supplied the bench and I thought that's expensive if the bench is, but that makes sense. Thank you.
Now just wait to actually. Okay, everybody got the motion moved, councillor Peach, seconded, councillor Roundtree, is that right?
Not seeing.
You- You seconded?
Yes, I did, yes.
Okay. Okay, no further discussion. I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Against, carried unanimously. The next one is the Tintinara Gym Review.
Question. I may have missed it in reading it, but I can't see, and perhaps it was my understanding that staff would go back and talk to the gym committee about where this was at and what they would like to see happen and what they would like to contribute to and how that might function moving forward. This basically condemns the gym committee, but I don't see any involvement here by Tintinara. Perhaps I'm misreading it.
No, nothing in the report anyway about it, so.
Right, I think
Maybe
we probably need to.
CEO would like to.
Through you, councillor, this is a summary of the workshop. It's now up to you to decide which option or another option you want to pursue. It would be premature to talk.
Through you, Mayor, I don't think it would be premature. There is a recommendation to disband the gym and disband the committee. And the first the gym committee knew about it was when it turned up in the agenda. I think that is not how we should be doing things at all. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move that council maintains in principle support for the continued operation of the Tintinara gym, and we work with the committee to see how that take effect.
We can't do that, given the risks that we know. We even had a discussion about whether we can wait now to committee. You are exposed to quite a few risks at that gym now. So as long as you make that decision knowing that you're exposed to those risks and accept those risks, then it's up to you. But the discussion at the workshop was that these were the options we presented to you with an understanding that we would bring them back then to a council meeting.
Can I ask a further question, if I may, Mr. Mayor? And that is that, and what I don't know, which is what's missing in the report, I think, is that some of the risks that were discussed may have already been mitigated by, I'm not saying they're appropriate or not, by the gym committee. And I feel like I've got that gap in knowledge. I'm not denying that there are risks to council. I understand that, but I just wanted to know, to be fair to the community of Tintinara, that the gym committee hasn't tried to mitigate some of the risks, obviously from earlier discussions, and that they are already moving forward with a plan. And I don't know that to assist council in mitigating our risk.
I'm the same.
I don't know the answer to that.
I haven't heard anything from any of them. Councillor Roundtree.
I support the position that councillor Peach has raised. I think the first I knew that we were going to totally pull the Tintinara gym was when I read this report, and I felt the report was very much geared to getting the outcome of it. I don't think we've done enough work on the ways we could help this move forward for them. There is a strong community down there. Our mission in our annual report says we will enhance community wellbeing and a sense of community. We will demonstrate leadership for the benefit and residents of ratepayers. And I don't believe removing that gym fits with that mission at all. I understand we've got risks, but have we explored all the opportunities to give them something instead of just closing that whole thing down, which they're using, and taking away a facility that helps them stay fit and get exercise. And it's just another thing we're removing from this community. And I don't think we've tried hard enough to find a better solution or a different solution, even an outdoor gym, something else.
Can I also ask, have council staff contacted the Action Club regarding the existing facility?
We needed council to make a decision first about what to do. Remind me which club is where the gym is located?
The Tintinara Action Club.
So we approached them in the beginning. They had not shown any interest in taking it over, which was our preferred option.
No, but in relation to potential upgrades to the building, which they own, now I've had a conversation with the president of the Action Club, and he's indicated that they would be prepared to look at some sort of improvement there.
Remember, councillors, we've given you 4 options, not just one. We're making a recommendation on which one we think you should consider, but it's up to you to consider the 4 options. And if you think there's a fit, we're more than happy to do that.
Well, Ms. Mayor, if I could move a motion that we continue in principle support the continued operation of the Tintinara gym and explore option 3 and 2 more fully to determine which pathway to take in consultation with the gym committee.
I'm happy to second that.
Ashley, got it up here.
Sorry, Ash.
Mayor, so what do you want us to explore with option 2 and 3?
Well, if there is a way, in my view, if there is a way to continue the operation in the current facility in partnership with the Tintinara Action Club and mitigate those risks in partnership with them, then that's a good option. If not, in terms of option 2, I thought the Tintinara Council office old chamber space may have been a better option. But
requires gym equipment as well. It's not just the space that it's in. The gym equipment is also in very poor condition. It is not just the space that it's in. We could easily get an MOU to where it is. The floors are at all different levels, which, as pointed out, is a risk in itself. We can do anything in terms of which option you want. Anything but the last option will require money.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think we certainly need to talk to the people. There's no doubt about that. But I mean, could they move it into the football club or something like that? I mean, something like, I don't think there's another option but to close it. But I don't want to disappoint them people if there's some other way around it. But Jim, all the stuff needs replacing, needs work. We're getting $1,000 a year going on those figures out of it.
No, we don't get anything. And let's get a fact right. The gym has never cost the council 1 cent. The council have retained the membership money, supposed to be in trust, the same as they did with the men's shed.
If I add up the fees, it's 17,000 over 10 years and expenses of 8,000. So these are approximately $800 a year.
So the new equipment in there, the newer equipment is bought, not by council, by the gym committee with the money which is deposited with the council. So, to say it costs the council money.
Tintinara people.
Sorry?
The equipment belongs to the Tintinara people, does it?
Well, it's a bit of a sick catch-22. Some was left over from Filthy Murray lands. What happened is the council got given them and then they didn't know where to put them. So they approached the Action Club, who had taken over the old Masonic Lodge Hall down there and had the play group in one side, and they put it in the other side. That was how it started off. Since then, a lot of the machinery has been replaced, because I'm talking 15, maybe 16 years ago.
By who?
By the gymnasium committee. The council's never put 1 cent into it. Don't think the council's put anything into it. Never, not 1 cent. No, they don't. The membership's paid and it goes into supposedly a trust account, exactly the same as the Tintinara men's shed. And when that no longer become a Section 41 committee, the council, I think off the top of the head was $16,000 goes back to the men's shed. So they didn't cost any. So I think it's, I don't really want to see it fold because of the fact that at the present moment, the well-being of women is the big thing. And it's, I don't think there's any males go to this. It's an all female and it's a cardiovascular type gym. It is not a muscle building gym. It's a cardiovascular gym. So there's no, had them pre-COVID, but I don't think, they're still there being used. So I'd like to just see a little bit more investigation and a little bit more. But
I don't want to take it away from them. I don't want it to be a burden on the council either.
it's not a burden at this stage. If something's got to.
That's debatable.
I just, in the, through you, Mayor, in the table that was presented in the report, there is an error in the 16-17 year. It's got $2 or 2,10. It only makes a small difference, I think, of a few $100s, but every bit helps, doesn't it?
Councillor Bland.
Yes, look, I have a question through you, Mr Mayor, to Councillor Peach, and that is in relation to more fully consultation with the Tintinara Community Gymnasium Committee and Action Club to be included in there, given that it is their building. They may, as you say, come forward and take full responsibility for that in the future, given that it is their building. They could then be the auspice of the gymnasium.
We've had discussions with them in the past and they were not interested in doing that.
I have a question then in relation to that. How long ago was that?
As COVID was starting.
Okay, so a couple of years.
Through you,
then.
Mr Mayor, the issue there is the insurance, which has come back to a number of times. And while it's a Section 41 committee of council, that's covered. And that was explored and very difficult to work out.
Then I would like to leave it inclusive of the Tintinara Action Club so we can get a current report on the Action Club's intent. My other dot point there would be is that we explore the cost of an outdoor gym.
Through you, Mayor, I'd support that. That was going to be my suggestion too.
Well, that's what we decided to explore at the workshop.
Yeah, I think we still need to explore the ability to provide gym type equipment in the small community that can be utilised by all community members.
Yep.
The same as we have done elsewhere.
Okay, with
Yes, quite.
Councillor.
Quite comfortable. And if I could just clarify, the conversation that I mentioned before I had with the president of the Tintinara Action Club wasn't to do with taking over the gym. It was to do with maintenance and upgrades to the building facility. And he indicated, without going to the club, that might be something that they'd be prepared to look at.
Is everybody happy with that motion now?
Can I just please ask you what more fully means? What is it in the report that you're not seeing that you need?
An outcome, through you, Mayor, an outcome for the Tintinara community, for them to have an exercising ability. So what does that look like? Whether that's an outdoor gym, whether that's refurbishment of where they are now, whether that's a new site inside the council chambers. And I know you've got some stuff in there about the council chambers and what's required. That's already written in there. But I'm not prepared to sit here and say that we should just can their gym. I just think there has to be another solution.
I just need to understand what you're wanting from the administration.
I think if the work towards the continuation of the gym in a capacity, acknowledging the report. And I think even these options 2 and 3, we haven't looked at the costing involved. We haven't looked at what could be done to perhaps reduce some machines to reduce risk, and even partnerships to purchase some gym equipment with other community groups in Tintinara that might take some of that cost away from council and also mitigate risk. So I think there's a number of things we can do to keep this open. And I would like to see the focus of council on keeping it going rather than shutting it down.
As I said, we can do anything that will require budgets.
Well,
So one more thing, if I may, through you, Mr. Mayor, the waiver advice that forms part of this report, I note that while they have, the lawyers have indicated some concern, they have also recommended that patrons should sign the waiver, regardless of their concerns, if I'm reading that correctly. Is that something we need to?
Might respond to that through the chair. What you see is not the full legal advice. So in terms of the use of equipment, there does appear validity to have a waiver form. But they did also point out where you have unsupervised gyms, there's a risk also with use not associated with use of the equipment. And that can be as easy as walking through the front doors to get to the equipment. You don't start using the equipment until you use the equipment. And so hazards related to that activity that isn't using the equipment can't be covered by a waiver. So there still is liability concerns by the fact that there's not a representative of the organisation that's ultimately responsible there overseeing. So there is still some residual liability concerns.
So through you, Mayor, if we were to deploy a waiver to mitigate the risk as it relates to the gym equipment, is that something that would, in the short term, deal with some of the risk factors identified?
I would not want to move forward without something like that, given the conversation of council now, because I mean, personally, I feel in a position now that either we cease operations until we've come to a conclusion, or at least we put in place as many safeguards as we can to protect council.
Well, in that case, I'm happy to amend through you, Mayor, my motion to include support for a waiver in the immediate term.
Mayor, this is the question for the director. Do we need to also then advise our insurer and get advice from them?
Yeah, I think the CEO is correct. Before we make any final decision on how to move there, I think we'd have to get some advice from our insurers, because at the end of the day, they're ultimately, underwriting our activities.
Councillor Roundtree?
through you, Mayor. Do we have to do similar sorts of waivers or things for the swimming pool and the skate park? I mean, these are other two things that public use. Do we have to have similar? How do we get around the liability issue with the pool and the skate park or the outdoor gym even at Meningie? How do we get around those issues? People walking from their car.
Lifeguards, and there are set procedures and legislation involved which we subscribe to. It's a bit like the decision you made last time about not having weights for people to council supplying weights. It's that type of thing. So we mitigate those risks as much as we can. With this, and with the skate park, it's an open and really people use it as it's intended, which is to skate. So
we don't have any liability with the skate park?
Somebody may,
Yes,
you can
yes.
always test that. That's not, no, you can never say never. But with this particular one, we know that the condition of the equipment is not fit for purpose in some cases. So that's where the difference is. The skate park is fit for purpose. It's made for a particular purpose, which is for kids and adults to skate on. And but the gym equipment we know is not fit for purpose. And it's a very specific thing about being fit for purpose. The skate park is very new.
So with the Canalpin pool, for instance, we're talking about walking into the building at Meningie, at Tinty, and then getting to the equipment as being a separate bit of problematic area. Does that not happen when you get out of your car at the pool and have to walk to the pool? And also, if you think about the fact that we have a disabled toilet, but we have no ability for anyone to sort of wheel a wheelchair from the road to them, what if they fall out of their wheelchair? I mean, don't we already have these sorts of things that in our council region that are always going to be iffy? And I feel like we're putting a lot of focusing on, this particular gym when we are taking risks in other places.
That's what, if I can bring a report to say to you, the gym is operating fine as it is, and let's keep going with it, which do you think I prefer? And we can always there are always opportunities to look at the minutiae of people walking to the pool. In this particular case, the gym equipment is not fit for purpose for most of it. We would need to replace it or upgrade it in some way. Now, we can do that. There is no problem. And in fact, and we can also talk with the owners of the building to upgrade that. Now, what happens if they come back and say, no, we don't want to do that? We will bring this report back again because we need to either find a home for equipment that's fit for purpose or talk with the owners of the building as it is, them to upgrade that building. It's not complicated. It's just that as a council, you have to decide what you want down there and how you want us to do it.
So through email, when it says it's not fit for purpose, the equipment, is that all pieces of equipment or was it any sort of?
We've given you in the report, haven't we?
Oh, did you?
And you at the workshop, you've also had access to that information.
I'm sorry, it's not, I'm not
It's not in
remembering.
the report.
Through you, Mr. Yeah, I'm a bit, I mean, you say CEO says it's not difficult to understand. I'm having a hell of a time understanding it because we as a council are saying we've got to replace some of the gym equipment, and yet the acting mayor is saying that people have paid for the gym equipment in there. So, I mean, who does own it? Do I am?
Let's speak to you. It is a council-owned gym. The equipment was donated. Now, whether the group down there have taken ownership because possession is 9/10 of the law, that is fine, but it is not. It is council-owned equipment and we bear the risk. They bear no risk at all.
Through, I was saying before is that the funds that have come in through the gym have covered the required updates to date.
And for you, that is illegal under your treasury policy.
Love to amend our treasury policy.
Well, that is the staff's fault, and that was the same, was what worked with the Tindanara mentioned, exactly the same. So, anyway,
I'll close that motion if I may, Mr. Mayor.
okay, it's closed. I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Read it.
I think there's something missing on it.
You got it? Oh, you haven't got it.
There's nothing on there about the waiver.
Oh, right, it's not,
Would you like me to read it, Mick, or you?
no, it needs
yeah.
the waiver.
Councillor?
Needs to say about the way.
I think we need a third point to say the waiver needs to be put in place and we need to ensure from our insurer's point of view that all is in order.
Keep working on.
Councillor
Just
Peach, are you,
chopping it.
I'm, yes, quite happy to add that in. Yep.
Is that covered?
And I note that they had another member join, must be since the report was printed. They're up to 16 now.
okay,
So it's a growing.
we've got that motion
entity.
there. I'll now put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Running behind time now, so. Item 13, Councillor Qualman, would you like to move the driveway and property access policy?
Yes, I'll move it.
Move Councillor Qualman. Do I have a seconder?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Councillor Bateman, was out of the two of you. Is there any discussion on that policy? Councillor Qualman?
Oh, well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for putting me in a so-called hot seat. No, I'm glad to see we've gone down this track of some clarification and to see with a policy now addressing some confusion over the time of whose responsibility it is. So no, that's why I'm support the recommendation. Thank you.
Councillor Hari, you had something?
Yeah, I was just trying to find, we need a building application. Right.
Looking at the director.
We don't, well, that's not what we were told at the infrastructure meeting.
That is true.
We were told that if a footpath is being built, the council offered to do your driveway at your cost while they're building the footpath, didn't need an application. But if you just wanted to build a driveway, you needed an application.
We'll see.
Permit application. Kind of like Government Act, section 6.
Okay, no further discussion?
What cost is a permit application?
We'd have to take that on notice.
Put the motion, all those in favour? Carried unanimously. The Canalpin and District Soldier Memorial Pool and Caravan Park Committee minutes of the 23rd of October. Would someone like to move that way?
Through,
Nation?
can I just, I have a motion I want to bring. It's not quite, not this motion. It's a motion to do with the pool. Is it better to do it after this motion? That makes
Variation.
sense? A variation?
How do you mean? Could you explain, Councillor?
Yeah, okay. So at the meeting last night, there's a lot of conjecture over what device or what platform is used when they're trying to determine what the weather's going to be the next day, to know whether the pool's open or not. So in the past, they've always used the app on their phones, the BOM app. And if it's 6 o'clock, it's 25 degrees for the next day forecast, then the pool will be open. However, there seems to have been this confusion brought in that we should be looking at the BOM website. So people don't have the website on their phones and they have to type in Canalpin BOM and then they're getting varying things. So it's actually just causing a whole lot of problems. So what I want to see added to the motion is that we make a decision that we use the BOM app. It seemed all of the community were happy. They want to continue to use the app. So I want to build that into the motion that we amend it to include that the decision on whether the pool opens or not will be based, will be taken from the BOM app at 6 p.m. the night before, and be very clear about it so that everyone's on the same page.
Through you, Mayor, this is actually. No, they're
No,
not
they're
through
not.
you.
That's the problem.
That's the problem. They came up with two different readings.
Yeah, they get two different readings. Yeah,
No.
not the same.
So that's what's actually caused the confusion. From the pool committee, which we won't see it as a chamber till next month. And given that the pool season's already started, that they were unanimous in that agreement that if we could stay with the BOM app
On that,
at 6 p.m. the night before, I think it was 6 or 5?
6.
6. Then at least everybody's on the same page. But yes, apparently the BOM app and the BOM website can give you two different figures for the next day.
Go to Elders Weather and you get different than BOM.
And they've all got the app on their phone and it's really taken them it's around using that. So one of the comments was back in the past, they would look at the weather on channel whatever at 6 p.m, but we don't do that anymore. So we need
Shanti. Sorry.
We're happy, it doesn't matter which app or website's used, if the preference is the app, we're happy to publish that. The issue is the 6 p.m. It needs to be 3 p.m. so that staff know what's happening. Staff are not at work at 6 p.m. So we need to make arrangements at 3 p.m, which is what the arrangement is, 3 p.m. on the website or the app, but it needs to be 3 p.m, not 6 p.m.
through you, Mayor, to Councillor Pitch. Was there a reason why they wanted it 6? I thought there was, but I can't quite remember what it was.
No, I can't recall. I know they discussed whether they did that 3 or 6, but they're.
I think it had something to do with BOM updating that BOM do an update at a certain time and it was after 3 p.m. So anyone using their app after 3 p.m. could get a different reading.
I think though that the message was just consistency.
Yeah.
And the app was certainly where the committee wanted to be because that's what they've been doing. And obviously there'd been some confusion.
Happy to accept the app.
3
But 3
p.m.
p.m.
Flex with that. So
Are you including that in the motion?
yes, amending the motion.
Councillor Roundtree moved.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to put
Please,
another
Liz.
variation to that as well, please. Point
Sorry?
three. I'd like to vary that at point three. That the pool hire document for carnivals be updated to reflect the adopted fees and charges the 23-24 year. At the moment, it includes a lifeguard charge, which was not included in the fees and charges, and that's caused some conjecture, and I'd like to see that updated for this year. So we could add that
Happy
to
to
point
accept
number
that.
three.
We can bring that.
I
We
think it
can-
has to be done now because they're gonna be filling in it's gone out in the, in touch with community. And you click on the link and it takes you to the form and now before schools start doing it.
I'm just checking how we do that.
Waiting on the other one.
Okay.
Think yourself.
Sorry, the pool hire fee for carnivals be updated to reflect the current fees and charges 23-24 as adopted by the council.
You're asking for the pool fees and charges to be updated.
No, so that there is no lifeguard charge in the adopted 23-24, but in the document there is.
So I think that would come under private works.
So that was something that was discussed when we went through the whole process with the committee back when the fees and charges were adopted. And that was something that the committee asked not to include as a charge. And that was something that as when I voted on it, that was something I believe we'd chosen not to proceed with. It's not part of the fees and charges for the pool.
So I need just to get clear. So when we provided a lifeguard to the school
Yes.
for their carnival, we're giving it to them for free.
They have an entry fee of $3 that was supposed to, that's their cost. No per hour charge for the lifeguard. We know that you had a meeting with Vicky and the pool committee are quite frustrated at that charge being there. And it's not in the 23-24 charges. It was something that was discussed because it went at the beginning of this whole process. And I would like to see the form currently reflect current charge.
So in support of that, through you, Mayor, back when we were looking at the fees and charges, we could have gone down the route of charging for the lifeguard and having no fee for spectators or swimmers to come in, but to now have both is going to put quite a large impost on the schools.
The original proposal was to have a set fee for carnivals that included a lifeguard hire and all entries of $450. And that was rejected in favour of the $3 entry fee on an ongoing basis, plus the take from the canteen and any barbecues and so forth coming to council.
Go on there, Ash.
And sorry, this was specifically to do with school carnivals. Yeah. I think if through Mayor, to the CEO's point, if it was a private hire, then that would be different. But we've already adopted a school fee.
So that we are now giving this SA Education Department free use of our lifeguards, as long as you understand that.
Okay, that's been moved by you, councillor Peach, seconded by you, councillor Roundtree.
Mhm.
Is there any further discussion?
This, I think, was wait for Ashley to catch up on point 2. And I think you'll need to just say in the Ash at 3 p.m. Determine the opening of the pool, yeah.
Let go.
3:30, yeah.
Previous match, to may I ask Shanti?
3:30.
Shanti, is 3:30 okay? There was just a conversation about that.
You all right?
I'll need to take that on notice. My understanding is 3 p.m. is what we need.
Well, sorry,
Troy?
Well, the website currently says 3:30.
as in the council website.
Yeah, that's what Ash is saying.
We'll stick with 3:30.
At a set time and we will come back to you with it.
Yep. I have got a mover, I haven't got a seconder. No further discussion. I'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Still reading.
Those against? Carried unanimously. Next is the minutes of the finance meeting held on the 7th of November.
I have a question.
This is to receive the minutes of the finance meeting only.
Question.
Councillor.
I'm always concerned about the word receive because if we do that, then we basically then will accept the minutes. And given Councillor Cormann and I sat on the audit committee, and you'll note there are some recommendations in relation to BR1. Whilst they have different roles between audit and between finance. And I did not attend the finance, I apologise. I would not like to see BR1 included in receiving of that report at this point, if it means that this council accepts BR1.
That's not correct, councillor. It's
I'm
just
just getting
receiving the
clarity on it.
minutes. The BR1 is anything in the minutes where you've accepted it, whether it's infrastructure or audit. If it's a specific report that has to come for endorsement or for some discussion, it will come as a separate report, which is what BR1's doing. But this is just accepting the minutes. It's not accepting BR1.
What was in BR1, I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, that there's been some concerns about BR1 that we note receive the minutes of the finance committee held on excluding BR1 given.
It should be item 10. All right.
Sorry,
Item 10, Mr Mayor.
am I in the wrong spot?
I'll have to ask
How do you
resident,
15?
The comment
ahead.
from Ash is that the audit and risk committee have made a decision. It's reflected in, finance, sorry. It's reflected in the minutes, so you can't change that decision. Basically, you're just accepting the minutes.
But being a section 41 committee, are we accepting recommendations from, do those form a recommendation?
Through the mayor, I believe the committee just received and noted budget review 1. That's
Yeah.
all they did.
Okay. I'm happy with that.
it's in, just correct me if I'm wrong, Ash, but in theory, until the next finance committee meeting, when you accept those minutes, they're not accepted, are they, or not? Because you have to get the minutes of the previous meeting?
Through the chair, the committee, those minutes remain in draft until the committee accepts them at their next meeting.
Okay. Is everybody happy with that? So, someone like to move we receive the minutes of the finance committee? Have we got a mover? Councillor Maidment? Thank you. Have I got a seconder? Have I got a seconder? That motion will lapse because of it lapsed because of no seconder. Okay, we'll go on to the next item. Is that what we do? Go on to the next one? Yep. Okay, thank you. Which is Audit and Risk Committee, minutes of the meeting held on the 14th of November.
I have a question.
Someone like to move those recommendations?
Question.
Councillor Bland?
Just to clarify, and I'm going to budget review 1 again will be re-reviewed in January. Am I correct? Okay, then is it possible that we could do that in January? Because I understand Councillor O'Hara won't be here, given that the delay is not going to cause.
We're having a briefing as requested by the Audit and Risk Committee,
Yes.
and my understanding is that it has to be done by the 30th of December.
December.
Sorry, through the chair,
Yep.
the presentation that we'll do Tuesday next week, I'm very confident that it'll deal with all of the issues and give you opportunity to ask questions. So by the time it goes to the December meeting, I'm pretty sure it'll be straightforward. I've come in fresh from being on leave and I've looked at it, and quite frankly, I can't see any issues with it. And I'm prepared the slides with Bill yesterday, and I'm quite confident that it'll allay any of your concern.
Councillor Roundtree.
Can I amend the motion to remove part 13 about BR1? So we will receive and note the minutes, but excluding section 13, which is,
We wouldn't be able to,
Same thing, you're in the minutes of a meeting that's already been passed.
No, but you can,
But
but you're not, you're
yeah,
not receiving that part of the minutes as a.
Not amending.
Until following the
another
workshop.
committee though. It's not a section 41 committee
it's not.
as such, with elected members.
can we then, through you, Mayor, amend it to after 2023 to put noting that recommendations will be addressed at the workshop to be held on, or noting that, recommendations will be workshop to be held on the 28th of November prior to the adoption of Budget Review 1. Can we expand on the motion? We note that.
Yes.
Can
I
we
would
do that?
suggest you go that way. Yep.
All right.
Okay, I'll be happy with
So noting that recommendations will be addressed at a workshop to be held on 28 November prior to the adoption of Budget Review 1. Prior to the adoption, of Budget Review.
And if I might, Mr Mayor, make a comment, and that probably supports point 4 of 13, Budget Review 1 financial year request that the Audit Committee's recommendations regarding Budget Review 1 are presented to Council prior to any decision of Council, which will be addressed next Tuesday. That just clarifies that point there. Thank you.
You move that way, councillor Roundtree. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Bland? Any further discussion? Councillor Coleman?
Oh, thank you. More of a comment that it's imperative that we go down this direction. I, as Councillor Bland, have great concerns about BR1, and I think it's been emphasised in this chamber right now. And so I totally support what the recommendation is now, and importantly that we have our next week to work through something that's got to be of some financial, what I say, implication. It's going to cause the council, and we have to work through it and more information and dig deep, and hopefully come out the other side a bit more organised, know what we're doing. Thank you.
If there's no further discussion, I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item 17, Murray Lands and Riverland Local Government Association minutes. Meeting held the 20th of October. Someone would like to receive those minutes? Councillor Bowman? Yep. Councillor O'Hara? Is there any discussion regarding those minutes? If not, I put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Information reports. Do you have any queries regarding the information report of the chief executive officers?
I have a few, three,
Uh,
couple.
Councillor Roundtree.
Here, Deputy Mayor. So under the income and expenditure report, just acknowledging we still have about 4 million in grants money to come in. Is that correct? Is that how? So we've got a budget of 5 million. We've only spent accumulatively 600,000. So we've got about over 4 million still to come in.
That relates.
So even though we're almost halfway through the financial year, we're expecting that. When does that normally come in?
So this is October. I don't think the slopes in there either, count.
Okay. And the increase of 490,000 in rates, is that the landscape levy? And that's being paid out, is that showing up in expenditure?
It will come out in November. Remember, this is October.
Yeah. Then, under other expenses for 525,000, what's that extra expenditure?
I would have to put it on notice.
Yeah. Okay. And my next question then is with the visitor number to the Carlton. Once again, the report says at the time of writing, we don't know how many people came. So this is 2 months now that we haven't been able to get any data about how many people are at the caravan park. And it's a shame because it's always got stacks of people there. So what is the reason why we're not getting this?
I'll take that on notice and we'll give you an email out of session for that.
Is there any update with the Changing Places Facility grant or the Coorong Thriving Towns grants? No progress on that yet?
So, it's for you, Chair. As we've mentioned, there are 2 grants available in South Australia. One is for the urban area, one is for the regional area. We've been liaising with about the regional one in terms of positioning ourselves to be a favourable applicant for it.
And on your CEO meetings through your mayor on the 4th of October, what's the Place of Courage unveiling?
That was a event at the town hall in Adelaide, and there will be one at Murray Bridge next week. It's to start the 16 days of activism around domestic violence and violence against women. So mayors were invited, the mayor from Murray Bridge and the CEO were there, but Mayor Simmons had something on that day.
Wellman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. To the CEO, attendance at the Canalpin show, I was quite impressed with the grader and the mower and the marquee. I thought it was good to get out the council making its presence in the local show. How did that go, Bridget?
So you, the wind, you mean?
Yes, that's what my head.
Wind tunnel.
We had quite nice engagement on that little street that we were on, that school kids came, we were marking them off their list. We gave most of our brochures and things away. So for a pretty ordinary weather day, there was still a fair bit of activity.
I may say, Mr Mayor, I thought it was networking, getting it out there to the people, and there was other councillors there, and I would like to congratulate the acting mayor for winning the bake-off.
You won't get any free cakes, don't we? Right, councillor Peach.
I'd like to second what Brendan said. I thought the presentation from council and the effort from staff that day was fantastic. So thank you very much to all those that took the time to attend. I just had a question. The sporting complex improvement grant through LRCI phase 4.
Will be in the November report. We've been successful in each of the applications that we've tucked under that $250,000. That was backwards and forwards with 20 questions each time we got an email from them, but we've now resolved that and they've come back and supported all of our applications. So that will be a report to council, I think, in December.
Last comment on is the Coorong Tatiara Local Action Plan Will Lucas Sandy Soils Day. I attended that day and it was a really good day. Great feedback from it. I must admit, 2-hour lecture on microbiology and soil was, by the end of it, was not necessarily absorbing it all, but it was some really good information packed into it, and well done to those that organised it.
Okay, councillor Blaine.
I do. Just wondering again, that we didn't have any figures available for Meningie Information Hub. And yet we managed very nicely to get 312 visitors to Point Malcolm Lighthouse. We're obviously picking figures up, but
I notice I don't know the answer. Ash is just reminding me there are different methods of collection, but I'm not sure why.
who's visiting the area. Just lost the other one I had. That's all right. I guess I'll follow up later. Deputy Mayor.
Councillor Maidment, well,
Thank
councillor
you,
Blaine.
Deputy Mayor, if I can
Yep,
jump
yep.
in and through you, just to quickly mention how well the street party went with the dragway opening. That was a really, really good night here in Tailem. The band was great. The crowd was fantastic. And the Tailem Bend Auto Club did a very good job as well with putting all of their cars there, and the general feel from people there was Tailem knows how to put on, and the council knows how to put on a street party. So, and that was lovely feedback. So that was really, really good. I do have one other little thing with this as well, not the street party, a different thing, if I could keep on. The acquittals with the community grants, some of those are very long-winded. Is there a way of fixing up that process?
We work with them tirelessly. We can prove how heavy you get with it, but we are not, we're going on.
Oh, yeah.
Remembering that all of those clubs generally are staffed by volunteers as well.
Yes.
So we tend to just work with them through the process. There will be a point where we may have to say enough's enough, but
Yeah.
Mayor, if I
Yep.
might, I do have a question from the public, and it's just reminded me and that is in relation to permanent residents. Are there any permanent residents at Melbourne Caravan Park?
not that.
If I can through you, Mr. Acting Mayor, just to comment on that. I mean, I've made it my business, have a look at the caravan park, because everyone tells me how many caravans are always in there. I've never seen more than 2 in there.
Oh, there were about 10 there last night.
I've been there a lot of times, and I've never seen more than 2 there.
Yeah, I think what you find is that most people pull in about 5 o'clock when they're looking to park. So you really at night,
There in the morning.
yeah, might as well probably pack up and leave. But that park is always full. It's got lots of people in it.
Okay. No further questions. Would someone like to move and receive that report? Thank you, councillor Plowman and councillor O'Hara. Put that motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. The next one is the serious one, community and corporate information report. Has anybody got any questions around that? Councillor Roundtree.
Yeah, let's get a couple. Do we still do staff departure interviews? Good, excellent. With the customer service stats, are any of those longer than 10 days? I know we've got 10 days. Do any go longer than 10 days? Longest they go out to?
So we will try to update that table. There's also, if you've noticed, a line missing to say the one's completed.
Yeah.
So we are just, I suppose, playing with a few things about how to present those stats to you in a meaningful way. Because on one hand, we want to celebrate the ones that are completed in a timely way, but also to keep an eye on the ones that are getting a little old.
Very pleased to see that Canalpin Hall sign is going in. If it's not already, I haven't gone past there, but hopefully it's happening.
Don't know.
And the toddler pool rail is really useful. I've seen a lot of people use it getting in and out of the little pool. So thank you for being so quick on that one. That was great. The other question I had too, and I probably should have raised it before, did anyone find the plaque from Tony Payson for the unveiling that he did of the new pool? There was a plaque and it's come up a few times and we're trying to find it. I think it got picked up on the day, but they've been hunting it down.
Can track it down.
Oh, saw so many people using it. It's very good.
Any further questions regarding that report? If not, I'll ask someone to move that. Councillor Bland, seconded Councillor Roundtree. With that motion, all those in favour? Thanking you. Next one is the infrastructure and asset information report. Anybody got any questions regarding the rather in-depth report
Always a good
regarding
report.
infrastructure and assets? Councillor Roundtree.
Can always be relied upon for a question. So I noticed with the cumulative graded kilometres graphed is 4,500 that it looks like that's the amount council aims to grade in a year. Is that the number? So it starts at about 4,500 kilometres. Is that our aim, or is our aim higher than that on that cumulative graph?
That's just a projection of where we expect to finish within that period of time. It is reliant on weather and the availability of grader drivers to grade.
Yeah, I guess like with the graph, if our aim is to do 10,000 kilometres a year, and I assumed we would have that number based on our planning, then graph could show is where we're at and where we aim to get to. If you lower one of the axes and just make it 4.5, we're always meeting it, and you're not sort of showing where we're aiming for.
The graph isn't meant to show what we're aiming for, it's what's been completed. So that the projection with the dotted line is just a natural progression.
Oh, you can just write the number then. Like I thought, to me, if you're going to visualize a graph, it should show you something.
We are looking at ways to do exactly what you asked. And the other thing is that we will change that to a financial year.
Yeah, because otherwise I did. And then I also noticed through you, Mayor, that on the kilometres that have been graded, the names of the towns have been put in, but now the kilometres has been removed. So
we hold them up. That's where the graph will tell.
Yeah, I know. Like if I'm telling me, I'd rather have the kilometres per road and the town than the graph, because that tells you something. So if we could perhaps look at that, that would be great.
Yeah.
Councillor Peach.
Two questions, if I may. I'm currently looking at page 109. Reactive repairs to equipment. Do we have a specific budget item for that, and how are we tracking to that?
I would have to take that on notice.
That'd be question I had regarding the purchase of the 2 new Ford Rangers. I noticed that they've got tubs on them instead of trays. Was there a reason for that, noting that most very
I'd have to take that on notice as well.
Thank you.
So through you, I'd also just like to add that the work that the crew did around the pool was fantastic. It's just looked amazing in there. So well done to the team. And that Ampol service road is just glorious. Looks really, really nice.
Right, have we got those notations, please, Ashley, or not? Well, the colour questions, you still got to notice, yeah. Okay. Okay. Anyone, any further? Councillor Coleman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just pleasing to see some photo display here of all the completed work on Granite's Road, and if I may inform the chamber, the local residents are very impressed, and there's no noise issues anymore as prior, so quite happy. Thank you.
Any further questions regarding the report? If not, would someone like to move that we receive that report? Councillor Qualman, seconder. Councillor Roundtree. No further discussion. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. The next items are question with notice regarding my questions. Think we need to have more discussion with it about council spending our ratepayers' money on their properties. That's my answer to that. The second one will be subject to a report in December, an in-depth report, because it's I think it's something that we just can't give council land away without having some opportunity to get something back. The others, costings for the roads, yeah, we've got that there now. The second one, the third one, the fourth one.
Just
finally,
just a question on the road one, if I may.
Yeah.
Noting that Karkuma Road is listed in the unsealed road renewal program, with that being bitumised, is that supposed to be in that category?
That's the next section.
There is still some unsealed section.
I just note the expenditure of 1.5 million, which I presume is the ceiling.
I'll take that on notes and check.
Yep, the part there. So explanatory. The next we go into questions without notice.
Sorry, one more question on the questions with notice, if I may.
Yeah.
Pool car replacement under plant and equipment. Is there any further information available around what the pool car is?
I don't notice to see what it relates to pool cars.
And I've just one last question through you, Mayor. Other council utes branded, do we put branding on them?
Would they have? Some of the new ones may not have had them yet, but they all have a Coorong Council sticker on them.
Right. Questions without notice? Has anyone got any questions without notice? Councillor O'Hara?
Yeah, I've got a couple. I had a ratepayer ask me the other day about Jalara Court Road, and evidently someone was trying to find it and it wouldn't show up on the GPS and everything. And she said, well, there's no sign there saying Jalara Court. I went and investigated, and there actually is a sign there saying Jalara Court Road. Well, lo and behold, this week I went there, and that sign is gone, and there's now a new sign there saying Golf Club Road. So obviously Jalara Court Road has been all become the road from the other end. But now I don't know what to tell this ratepayer, because the teller has disappeared.
You know, we will. Is it a public road?
Yeah.
We'll take that on notice, because I'm looking at my directors and none of us have any idea.
Brand new sign. I don't know where they got it from. We didn't do it. You know, that's that one. Now the other one, the other question I've got is, another ratepayer contacted me, and to do with the heart of the parks at Tintinara. Now evidently they've got a termite problem out of the parks. Said, well, who's responsible for fixing this? I said, well, what does it say in your lease? But we haven't got a lease. We haven't had a lease for years. So my question is, why haven't they got a lease? Because a lease should explain who is responsible.
Through the chair. Our property officer is talking to the Heart of Parks about this issue. And working through now, my understanding is likely that we have to bear some responsibility. And also working through the lease issue as well. So
I understand they haven't had a lease for 10 years.
There were some places where the leases have been in holdover for quite some time and the property office has been working through them. We're nearly completed that, but yes.
I haven't had a lease for 3 years.
CCI have got a lease.
The answer recorded.
It came to council by mid-year to renew their lease.
Yeah, I know that.
I'm not sure they'll actually physically get a printed copy, if that's what the question is, councillor O'Hara.
According to them, they haven't.
No, but I'm not sure they get one either, as in terms of a paper.
Should.
Do a commercial lease agreement without a written.
So these, remembering these are peppercorn leases as well, they're not commercial.
Well, they were.
No, sorry, councillor, that
CCI were paying rent. And so were.
that was waived before COVID started.
Before years ago. Right, that's all I've got, thank you.
Councillor Roundtree.
No,
Councillor Quine was first, sorry.
I just want to get the answers recorded. So before we get too far down the track, I just want to get these answers recorded and I'd like to move that the answers are recorded to these questions.
I'll second that.
This is too important not to.
We have to do each of them separately.
You're just referring to councillor O'Hara.
I was, but yeah, I would like to move that the answer to councillor O'Hara's question be recorded in the minutes, please.
So councillor, was there a question actually around CCI or that was just for interest?
No, that was just, it was around the Heart of the Park.
You need to meet. Yeah.
That's what we've got. Move councillor Roundtree, second. Councillor O'Hara's question be recorded in the minutes in full.
It's not there.
You have to move the motion.
So is the answer, and Director, correct me if I'm wrong, that staff are working with the lessees of the Heart of the Parks through the issue of the termites and also about the renewal of the lease?
While we're, before we finish that, I'd just like to ask, the men's shed was also affected by white ants and the Terminex people who found a white ant's nest in a gum tree over by Heart of the Parks, part of the council's reserve. And at the time, the council were going to have a look at destroying that nest. I'm just wondering if they have. We, 6, 7 months ago, maybe a bit longer. Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah. Okay, that motion, all that, council motion first. All that motion. In favour? Carried. Councillor Coleman?
Sorry, Mr Mayor, did I miss something? Did you answer or comment on your last question, the long-term financial plan?
Yep.
You did, right. Well, may I proceed with a question without notice?
It's been long-term fine. So we'll get it to eventually.
I have a question
Yeah.
without notice, if I may. I just see some email information getting around regarding the demolishing the old CFS shed at Meningie, and we've run into a bit of a snag regarding the electrical circuit board. Has anybody got any idea how financial implications so far on that? Holding up the works
We
apparently.
don't, we need Sapin's advice. We expect it'll be in the vicinity of 6,000 or 7,000. But that is no way formal advice.
Councillor Roundtree.
I was just thinking, my question about the plaque could possibly be moved to here so that it's recorded under questions without notice. The question I had raised before about the commemorative opening plaque unveiled by Tony Payson at the pool when it opened. If we could just locate that plaque. So if we put it under questions with notice, which is where I intended it to go, but jumped the gun on myself.
Okay. You got that, Ashley?
Just a moment there.
Yep.
So I'm asking whereabouts plaque is located that was unveiled by Tony Payson.
Okay. No more questions without notice. We're going to.
Sorry.
Get it? Come on. Okay, Councillor Peach.
With relation to, if I may, 3 minutes, CEO, in relation to advice received from Country Health regarding the continuation of services in Tintinara and Canalpin, have they given us written correspondence? Could we seek some written correspondence from them? Because in conversations with residents and other interested parties this week, there is a worsening issue with relation to the provision of health services in Tintinara at the moment. And I would like to see us.
Would it be useful in the first instance to invite I'm unsure of his title actually, to address you in a briefing in the first instance? And then you can ask his question.
That would be something I would appreciate.
Councillor Brand can probably.
Yes, I had a phone call this morning from a member of the community in Tintinara who advised me that there is a meeting on Thursday at 11 o'clock at the Canalpin Town Hall. I'm assuming potentially maybe the HAC have invited Professor Paul Worley, who I believe looks after some of the country health, don't know his name, community members that have been affected by withdrawal of services, particularly from Tintinara, Canalpin, Kermaduk areas, and those anywhere in the rural sector to come along to find out what's happening, because we certainly get complaints across the board in the council area.
Through you, Mayor, I suppose complementing that, there is also a rural workforce, they call it a collaborative think tank that is happening in 2 weeks' time that I've signed up to go to see what. I'm assuming it's SA Health. So, so 3 things then: encouraging. It wasn't the professor that I was speaking to, but so encouraging people to go to that meeting, inviting Country Health to come to a briefing, and I'll give you feedback about what happens at that other meeting. Is that covered?
Try and move in. And if I may ask, Councillor Bland, are you able to attend on Thursday? Fantastic. And 3 minutes, is the CEO able to attend that meeting on Thursday?
You said me that Wednesday or this
I will
Wednesday?
double check.
Thursday.
As I understand, it's 11 o'clock at Malcolm Hall, but I'll.
Thursday coming.
2 days, I believe. Quite short notice.
I will see what I can do.
I'm going to try and get there as well.
So that's the 23rd, councillor?
They just told me Thursday this week and I spoke to them this morning.
Yep.
That's how,
Right.
how
Can you email it to me?
like this, I will double check it.
Thank you.
Let me know.
Okay. No more questions without notice. If not, we'll move on to next. Motions with notice, we have none.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor,
Motions.
we just need to deal with that motion.
Let Ash keep up.
Oh, sorry, I thought you had.
Your sweeping?
I ask that you take out the Coorong hack because I can't.
Someone like the second councillor.
Local Health
Leach's
Network.
motion.
Can't be 100% who it is. Yeah.
Could I have a seconder for councillor Peach's motion? Councillor Roundtree.
Does that cover it?
So there was the invitation for Country Health to address council.
An invitation.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Happy with that?
Was there one other thing?
Yep, that's,
Okay. I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Now we'll get on to a motion.
sorry, one further
Oh,
question.
you got one more.
Sorry. Just in relation to the conversations that have been happening around BR1 and the financial positions there, I just note, going back some time, we were, as a chamber, we were asked to approve expenditure of funds on laser cut bin surrounds for Tailem Bend. And at the time, we were advised that that money was from savings found in the infrastructure spend in the carryover period into the next year. I'm happy for this to be taken on notice, but I would like to know where those savings were in light of the other conversations we're having, specifically. And given conversations and where that funding is now at, yes, if
So through you, Mayor, I can pull out the briefing where those things are.
I've read the briefing, but I don't think in light of the current information that it's accurate. I've been back through the minutes and to the notes.
I'll take that on notice then.
Thank you. So it's in relation, sorry, it's in relation to the plasma cut bin covers in Tailem Bend. And I think it was around $50,000 of expenditure that we were advised was available funds.
That's a capital expense, not an operational one.
Correct. It was from the capital expense budget. And I believe at the time it was talked about in terms of that carryover into the next financial year and expending that money due to it being savings. Now, in light of the conversations around BR1, I would definitely like to know have further information around that because I'm now thinking that may not have been.
In general terms, that would have been a point in time as we went into the end of the financial year where we thought there may have been some money there. So, but I will get you a more fulsome answer.
Any further questions, councillor Peach?
No, I'm done.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
very much. Motions with notice, we have none. Motions without notice.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move a full motion of condolences to the Mayor, Paul Simmons, on the passing of his father, Bob, from the council.
Seconded, councillor Coleman. Okay, I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Next item is the oh, hang on. Oh. I don't know if I'll take it, but pass me. Motions without
Don't.
notice, councillor Roundtree.
So I'm not entirely sure how to word the motion, but the object of the motion is I'd like to, when we receive a report from staff, that when we have the recommendation, that it's clear whether we're endorsing or recommending, receiving and noting. I feel that there are times when we receive and note a report, the report has in it some recommendations of things that happen. And by receiving and noting, we are accepting those recommendations. And I think it needs to be really clear when we're going through the agenda that we are actually endorsing what was written on those pages, more so than just receiving and noting, which sounds more like of a lesser act, when in fact, if we are endorsing something, if it has been said to me before, councillor, you haven't, you approved this at, on such and such a meeting, and you go back and have a look through it and you go, well, actually, yeah, we did because it was in the report, but it wasn't obvious at the time that that would have been the outcome. So I don't know how we do it, what the wording is, but if we could just, or even if it needs to be a motion, but I really would like to see this tighten up so that it's very clear in the recommendation that we are endorsing something or just noting it or just receiving it. If that makes sense.
I'll ask the CEO for her comment.
So through you, Mayor, the general rule of thumb is that if it's a decision report, we say that so we give you recommendations, say the Tinty Gym one. These are the recommendations. This is what the administration is recommending, but you've got to make a decision as council. If it's for noting, it's generally an administrative thing where I have the delegation, but I want to bring it to your attention. So the affordable housing one is a good example of that. There was no decision for you to make about that. It was basically saying to you, we've made this decision, but we want to bring it to your attention so that you're aware of what's going on in the organisation. It's not a motion for you to pass. It was for noting that the report has been done and this is the position council's taking. So they're the sort of probably two extremes, and that's the rule of thumb. So if it's the affordable housing one didn't have to come into the chamber, but it is an important one because we'd had brought to you reports on a regular basis about what was going on in that particular area. And so it was the finalisation of it. The Tinty one was definitely, here are 5 options, councillors. This is the pros and cons of each of them. Our recommendation as an organisation is this one based on A, B and C, but it's up to you to decide which motions you want. And they're really the extremes and how we make that decision about whether it's for noting or not, or for a decision. So I'm not sure how much we'll look at some words to see if we can make that clearer. But if it's for noting, it's generally, as it says, for noting, for you to say, councillors, this is for information only. I could send that out in an email.
So through email, so when we're noting something, there's no action that comes from anything we note or receive.
No, it's for you to know that we are doing something around that and this is what we're doing.
Okay, well, as long as I just feel sometimes it has been unclear, and I've gone back and had a look and thought, gee, we're endorsing something here. It's not just receiving and noting. It feels like we're endorsing a position, and I just want to make sure we're very clear when we do it what we are doing.
That's generally the rule of thumb for both areas, but we'll make sure that it's very clear.
Thank you. So it probably doesn't need to be a motion then. Save you that one. Don't get, sorry?
Rescinded that motion?
I've rescinded that motion.
No, right. Do you have another
No.
motion without notice?
I don't.
Anyone else have a motion without notice? If not, we'll go on to the next item, which is the minute action list. Has anybody got any questions? Oh, coming thick and fast. We'll start with councillor Qualman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And as Councillor Peach just brought up before, the stainless steel plasma cut bin covers 107/23 back in May. Have we got an update when this is going to come into filtration, please?
We do. I'll go to the director.
Through the mayor, thank you question, councillor Coleman. Yes, we expect that we should have those stainless steel covers installed just before Christmas. We are reliant on a third party provider, however, where there have been delays.
Councillor O'Hara.
Yeah, I've got one, a completed action, actually, there's just like a bit of clarification on it, so 233/23. Now, in there, it says included the expenditure of $65,000 to seal the entire parking area, bay area on the council land adjacent to the RAA electric vehicle. Right now, it says that's in the 24/25 budget. It should have been in the 23/24 budget.
Yes. No.
Says that completion.
Oh, hang on,
date is
sorry.
November.
Completed in the sense that it will be included.
I think, did I send you an email on this one, councillor O'Hara?
Sorry,
Did I send you an email on this one? To say that we'll do the design work in 2023/24 and the actual work will be completed in 24/25 because we are now at Christmas anyway. So by the time the design is done and then the work, it'll go into, it's 6 months, it'll go into the next.
If I may, the motion didn't, as I recall, it did not say 24/25.
no, not at all.
So that last paragraph there, which is saying it's under the motion, was not part of that motion.
That money was.
It
put
should
into-
maybe we're just checking the motion. Here, Ash, on page. Can we take that on notice and I will clarify, I think we may have put some comments into the motion.
We've got two motions here, the same,
Through the deputy mayor,
232 and then 233, which specifically says this expenditure will be included as part of the 24/25 budget.
That
One
wasn't,
page, 232.
232.3 is also.
233-23 over the
Yeah.
page from the one you're talking about.
That's the one I was looking at.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
yeah, that's one.
I think he,
that wasn't in the motion, as I
That
recall.
wasn't in the original motion.
original motion was 23233.
through
No,
the mayor, I believe
23.
that's the motion that was resolved, and I believe the discussion was had around that expenditure not going into the 23/24 budget, because it would require a budget review.
Because
No.
of what, sorry, Ash?
Would require a budget review.
We will go back and check the minutes, councillors.
Can I cover some of this? Again, I wasn't attending, happened at the finance committee with the BR1 potential review. Some of the comments that I'm seeing in here is potentially because of that, but it's a little bit chicken and egg.
It wouldn't have been because of that, because we wouldn't adjust the minutes. So we will go and check that we have recorded them correctly.
As I
We
recall,
also checked 23223 as well, given that
That's the same one, councillor, that we're talking about, I think.
23323.
Yeah. That's the
And
one.
sorry, and 23323.
as I recall, the conversation we had in the chamber that day was that it was almost a moot motion because the funding was already allocated in the current budget period based on a previous motion that we'd moved around it. So my recollection, and I'm not that in favour of doing this action, but my recollection was it was approved in 23/24, and it was certainly not the intent of the chamber at that time to have that in 24/25.
So I'll take that on notice and we will go back and check the minutes.
In fact, to put the Taylor Ben one
We did.
in the 24/25
Correct.
budget
Yes.
as part of the motion to go ahead with this.
You give us a chance.
And I still have a little problem, if I threw you, Deputy Mayor, in these aren't completed.
That is the Taliban one.
Yeah, it is.
That's how I read it.
So I read it.
What's that?
That is the Taylor Ben one.
Yeah,
23323.
it's straight opposite.
It's the second part of the first motion.
Endorse the structure proposed car park again adjacent to Menindee Council.
No, the next one.
No,
This one.
That's already been done.
It should be a 1 and a 2 in it instead of a
Yeah,
continuation of the
include
station.
Expenditure. Yeah, that's where. the
That would make more
confusion is.
sense.
Pass the motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're moving Tail and Bend to the 24,
Yeah,
25.
That is the motion that you voted against.
that was a motion. It was split into, if you remember, it was split into three.
And the mayor was the,
And you split it into, and then he asked you, are you sure? And you said, oh, maybe I'll do 2 and 3 in one and 1 in one. And that's where the confusion, and that's why I voted against it. Because I didn't want Tail and Bend
That's
to
not
be
correct.
put into the 2024
the motion was that
budget.
the Meningie one was in
Yeah,
this
that's,
year's budget.
Yeah,
And the Tail Bend one would be in next year's
yeah,
budget.
that's why I voted against it.
Oh, okay, yeah, there's no number on it.
yeah, so it reads as though it's continuation, but it's a separate.
We'll put the 2 back in.
Okay, any further on the action list?
Yep.
Question then, and
Sorry,
just a clarification, we're on the same RAA electric vehicle charging stations 23223, which is above the. And we've got 0.1, which is referring to the Meningie one, which says we have entered into a contract with RAA, but there seems to be no clarity around whether that comment, and also clarity around the Punt Road one again. Are we actually doing it in this year or not?
Through you, Mayor, following Councillor Arthur's questions on notice, we are bringing a report to council next month of the RAA contract.
Right.
I'll just point out that the first one, the RAA electrical vehicle charging stations, has got no dollar figures in it. It's only the proposal of accepting the RAA.
I know,
The
but we-
second motion, 23323, regarding the EV station at Meningie and including the car park, has got the money in it, and that's got budget 24-25.
which we haven't.
On the notes on that is this expenditure will be included as part of the 2024-25 budget preparations.
That's for Tail
So
and
the
Bend.
Tail and Bend one.
But that's not Meningie. Meningie hasn't been.
Can I suggest, councillors, that we'll bring it, the report is coming, it is always coming to the December meeting around. If you would like a briefing on it before that, we will put it into one of the days where we've organised some briefings.
Okay. Is that it?
I got some more questions from this, Mr. Mayor.
Right.
The intention to grant lease Canalpin Oval, noting that documentation is with lawyers for final review. Any issues there, or is that just standard procedure? Thank you. The other. Sorry, I'm just getting it. Just in relation, it's noted as completed, which was the ARTC railway crossing, potential new one between Jeski and Jintanara. The General Inspector has organised trimming of the track, I believe. Has that work been undertaken yet, or is that still to be undertaken?
We will have to check. I know that he was organising it, but whether it's actually been done, I don't know.
And yes, just noting, as I sent pictures through, that the new pedestrian crossing in Tintinara is halfway to completion. I've had quite a few very happy phone calls.
Any? Councillor Bland.
Thank you. 201/23 cash advance debenture. We look for a facility. We were looking at 5, 4, and actually got 3. If I'm reading this correctly.
Sorry, I missed.
201/23. from August. The discussion was around looking at well, after the discussion with LGA, LGFA, we looked at 5 million, 4 million cash advance to be established in lieu of the 5 million. But we received 3. I'm assuming the 3 then is an at-call figure.
Yes, it is.
And is there a reason we got 3?
The 5 was based on the original budget that we worked with them when we sat in this room, remember, and we were showing you the different ones. When the budget projections changed, they changed as well. So.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, is there written advice regarding that? And can that be provided to councillors if there is?
I'll check what we actually receive in writing. Yep. I'll circulate that out of session.
No further questions from the minute action? If not, for those watching the live, to move into confidence, and the live stream will stop. For those who wish to view the end of the meeting, the video will be available on the YouTube after today's meeting. Thank you.
Away and no backup today.